Hello there, and welcome to Feels Like Weezer. Is that a good Obi-Wan? No, it's not, but I'm going to do it anyway.
John Lennon.
It's hello there. It's your first step into a larger Weezer. Welcome to Feels Like Weezer, the podcast where we normally talk about Weezer song by song, track by track, from blue to black. It works so much better. I'm very upset that they didn't end with just the Black Album. Anyway, I'm Zach Fracking Smith. You can follow me on Twitter at The Informal Log.
And I'm Eric Nash from Almost Famous Minute.
And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Eric and I, a little, tiny bit different. Eric and I are like huge Star Wars fans. Today I was talking with people and I'm like, I guarantee you, and this isn't like the biggest brag, but I know more about Star Wars than anybody you know. And they're like, you're probably right. We're like stupid fans of Star Wars, I would say, like to the point where it's terrifying. So we're going to talk about the Rise of Skywalker since that just came out. We're recording the day after it came out. So Eric and I both saw it last night.
Not together.
Not together. No, we live too far away. Yeah. So how we're going to do this is that we're going to do kind of spoiler-free reactions here at the beginning, and then we'll say when we're getting to the really spoiler-heavy part if you haven't seen it. But I mean, it's been like 2 weeks. Come on, what are you doing? And then we're obviously going to go like way into it. So, but first, I want to Eric. How did you get into Star Wars?
Well, my parents took me to see Empire Strikes Back when I was like not even 4 years old. Almost 4, like 3 years and 10 months old, probably. Maybe 4 years old, because it probably wasn't right away when it came out. And so I actually saw Empire first and loved Yoda, and then I believe, and then what they've indicated to me is that Star Wars, the motion picture, A New Hope, Episode 4, came out, was put back in the theaters, after Empire had come out that year. And so I got to see that in the theater then too, thankfully. But then I got, my dad had a VCR, and he had copied off of TV, Star Wars, the first one, and right. And he even was good, and there might have been a feature, but I forget if that really, I don't think that worked or something very well, but to cut out commercials, but he even did real good and got rid of commercials for me and stuff, but there's also sometimes on some movies that he did that for me when I watched it years and years later, like I don't remember this part, so every now and then he wasn't that great with it though too.
Well,
but thankfully for Star Wars, it was very good, and it was that one copy, and I watched that to death from like age 5 to 10.
That's
Until the first real VHS copies that you could actually buy for a reasonable price, or at least I think I got the first one as a Christmas present.
So did you see Return of the Jedi in theaters as well?
Oh yeah, no, that one I very much remember, very easily remember. The other stuff I don't remember, but
because you would have been like
Yoda.
Prime Ewok age too.
Yes, exactly.
So you're pro Ewok, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. I've always been pretty good at Ewok. I mean, there were points in college where it was really cool to not care about the Ewoks, but
I mean, I know how that is. That was the first thing, on my entrance exam. It was, how do you feel about the Ewoks? Yeah. And you check, love them. You didn't get in, because you were too cool. So
how about you?
I have a really unique Star Wars story. So I grew up during the prequels, when the prequels were released. I freaking loved Jar Jar. Like, I loved him. He was amazing, because I was like 6 when I first saw him. Yeah. So, of course, it was fantastic.
His humor fit for a 6-year-old.
Exactly. So I saw the prequels in theaters. I don't remember at all seeing them. It was just an event. I remember more seeing Fellowship of the Ring than I remember seeing any of the Star Wars movies in theaters. only because I remember during Fellowship of the Ring, you got a Harry Potter trading card. I don't know why you got a Harry Potter trading card when you get someone to go see Lord of the Rings, but whatever. And so, like, I was actually the kind of person, like, through college that was like, Star Wars kind of sucks. That's really dumb to like Star Wars. So I never watched really I watched the original trilogy maybe like once or twice. I loved Spaceballs, though.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I
but now, so here we are. It's April of 2017. My brother and I are going to go to C2E2, the comic convention.
Oh.
I have to drive like 5 hours to get to him, so I'm like, I'm just going to grab an audiobook, for the road. And I pick up Chuck Wendig's Aftermath, which is a Star Wars book. And I pop it in. I don't expect anything. And, he starts his narration, and then, like, the John Williams fanfare goes. And, like, if you have not listened to a Star Wars audiobook, do yourself a favor, because they are a genuine experience. It starts off with a theme song, and, the guy who's narrating it is actually, like, a voice actor. So, like, he does voices for everybody that are, like, spot on with the characters. And there's sound effects, and TIE fighters are flying, and it was, like, such an incredible experience for me, that it kind of, like, changed my whole opinion on it. And I'm like, this whole Star Wars thing is actually pretty cool. And then, so, I was very late to the game with Star Wars. And then I asked for podcast recommendations to one of my, I was in a library group, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for podcasts, and somebody said Star Wars Minute. Really? And I'm like, tell me about this Star Wars Minute. And they're like, it's a podcast where they talk about Star Wars 1 minute at a time. And it was my first experience with the Movies by Minute podcast as well.
You said, you said, so the episodes are 1 minute long?
Right? That one I didn't. I understood the concept from one, which I was very proud of myself. But and then that just, like, that whole thing blew my mind, and I just kind of got I'm catching up for the 25 years I wasn't into Star Wars, in a very short period of time. So I've read, like, all of the canon books and all of the a lot of the Legends stuff. I'm Star Wars Insider magazine. I freaking love Star Wars. I've got my Jedi robes and everything, but and it's such a unique experience, and being a part of that culture. The positive parts of the culture are, especially the Star Wars Minute people, like, they're just people who love Star Wars and want to talk about it, and I love that. Yeah, there are some things that are better than others, obviously, but, like, overall, it's such a good series. So do you? I've never heard your ranking of the movies, so I do want to hear that. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. And they can change. I mean, I think some people
for right now, this is your
would feel like no, this has been my number one. This is always gonna be my number one, and so forth, and on down the line, or what have you. But no, they can change, and I feel like at this point I would go from favorite to no, let's go least to. That'll be easier. Attack of the Clones. Right.
Oh my god, easy.
Then Phantom Menace. Then I want to say even though I like it awfully well, I'm gonna go with Solo next.
Yeah. And that's what I love about Star Wars ranking. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like, just because you're ranking it so low doesn't mean it. I mean, except for Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace, it doesn't mean that they're bad movies. It's like there's a whole, and then it's like, here's my Star Wars ranking, and then underneath that is the rest of movies. Anyway, continue.
then Return of the Jedi, then Revenge of the Sith, Last Jedi, Star Wars, Rogue One. Oh wait, no, wait. Force Awakens, then Rogue One, and I cannot put this one in yet. So, oh, and then Empire, Empire at the top, but I cannot put this one in yet.
I need to see it at least
I refrain.
once.
I'm
I
seeing
need
it
to
tomorrow.
see it one more time. I don't have another one on the books yet.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't want to go see it, and she's the only person I get to see movies with, unless I go by myself, which, is very tempting. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm going to go from bottom to top, just because it's easier for me. And I think this says a lot, because you grew up with Empire and A New Hope and that stuff, but since I didn't really watch those, I'm going to go Force Awakens. It's my absolute favorite. Love that movie. The Last Jedi, right after that. And Rise of Skywalker is definitely in my top 3. I just don't know where yet, but I'm not going to include that in there right now.
In your top what?
In my top 3.
3? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So good. And then, but right now, my number 3 is Rogue One, then Empire, obviously. Star Wars, A New Hope. Then Solo, Revenge of the Sith, and then the same ranking as you. But I'm also going to throw in Phantom Menace, Under the Phantom Menace. We're going to do Star Wars Holiday Special, then Ewoks Battle for Endor, then Ewoks Caravan of Courage, then that episode of The Muppet Show with Mark Hamill, then the Muppet Babies episode of Star Wars, the Family Guy Star Wars episodes, and then Attack the Clones. All Star Wars media, then Attack of the Clones. And then the Thrawn trilogy of books. Yeah, I said it. Uh-oh. Take it, Timothy Zahn. So, initial impressions of The Rise of Skywalker. So just, this is spoiler-free still.
Right. You want mine?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... It's, there's a lot to it. There's a lot going on, more than I'm used to. So that, I mean, and that's why I feel like I really just need that hopefully tomorrow's watch to get a feel as to where I could put it in my ranking.
I get that.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely I definitely had some feels happening.
I cried
a little bit crying. I mean, I don't normally bawl, and but I just have some little tear running down, like, oh my gosh, this and this is happening, and but yeah, I mean the fact that it can make me do that certainly should mean that it's gonna get a pretty decent ranking. And then the thing is that tomorrow it's gonna be IMAX 3D that I see it in tomorrow, which was just a regular showing last night. And
their poster game.
And should some tears happen there with the glasses on, that'll be
it's all
it'll
fogged
be really,
up and everything.
really obnoxious, and awkward. And
when with all, I mean, there's a lot of water in the movie. It's almost like a 4D experience. So honestly, it would be worth it. But the poster game for this, like the posters they have come out with for The Rise of Skywalker, have been just amazing, and especially the IMAX 3D ones. Those are good.
Now, you're not talking about like what they seem to be doing is like this past week was a lot of like fan created.
Oh,
I saw.
Were those?
I thought it was. They were like each like 3 a day or something. Something crazy like they were posting on Facebook.
Good for them.
It seemed like
because those were great. Yeah. If those were the ones, but so you liked it essentially.
Yeah. But just my, I just have to refrain from, I think, that ranking, and even, I mean, I don't quite totally understand everything that's really happening. It was, I've listened to one main podcast that got into spoilers on it, and then even the little segment of another that, without giving anything away. And that was Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond.
Gotcha.
His having seen it like back on Tuesday or Wednesday night or something.
Yeah.
I watched that last night after I got home. But then the other podcast I've listened to for years, and I hadn't been listening to too many of the recent episodes because I was kind of afraid they were getting too spoilery. And this of these 3 sequel trilogies, this one was the one I knew the least about. I spoiled myself the least on.
That's great. Good for you.
And it worked out pretty well, I think. I'm pretty glad I did. But the other podcast is Rebel Force Radio, and they did like nearly as long as the movie itself, kind of recap, going through
right
without the use of a Wikipedia, which I actually have open in front of me right now in case we kind of get into certain points. I don't think we want to do anything like that because, like I said, I mean that took them a couple hours essentially.
You mean Wikipedia? You got Wikipedia open?
No, the Wikipedia for the regular Wikipedia and this movie's plot. Sitting here just in case there's certain little things we want to specify, a certain planet or something.
I mean, honestly, I remember it pretty well. I was enraptured the entire time. I had to pee, so I got up at one point, but I was very upset that I had to do that. Excellent movie. There are some things I really hate, though, which obviously I'm not going to go into right now, but I think that there's a few things that I think were terrible decisions, but they made so many really good decisions that I don't care too much. Like it is such a perfect ending to the Skywalker saga. Like I cannot stress how much I love this movie. I thought it was just it and it was fun. It was so much fun,
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it to be because I read reviews going in and everything is like, oh, it's got 50% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna suck. And then I also got spoiled, like completely spoiled. I was just on Twitter, just browsing, and somebody posted, here's all the people who died. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Might as well just go. And so I went on the Star Wars League subreddit and read the whole plot because it's like, whatever, And then reading the plot, I was like, this sounds really dumb. I don't know if I'm going to like this. And I loved it. And it was the same way with The Last Jedi, where I'm like, that's really weird. Kylo kills Snoke, that doesn't make any sense. And then, like, seeing it was just like, okay, this was so good. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it again, though. There are some parts where I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more information about it, but. 'Cause it feels like Weezer. 'Cause it feels like Weezer. So do we want to move into spoiler territory?
I think so.
Oh boy. Boy. Let's get... Okay, so we're getting into spoilers. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Who
well, not everyone. Yeah,
well,
right.
By some people. Or here, go watch the movie. Wow, wasn't that movie great? Can I start with my gripes, just real quick?
Yeah, if you keep them quick, yeah. Because what I was interested, I thought about, well, can I ask him about that? He said he's got these gripes, but then I said, no, I'm going to ask him. So what are those things that you really loved? But go ahead and get them out of the way.
Well, because like I said, I have so many things that I love, and only like 4 things that I hated.
Yeah.
1, Palpatine created Snoke. Really? And then it pans over, and there's, like, Snoke's in a can. I'm like, that's so stupid. That's dumb. I hate that. And it's right at the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, oh, fudge, this is going to suck. But then, I mean, come on. Palpatine was amazing. The big info dump, just right at the beginning, like, the whole first act was, like...
yeah, right.
It was so fast.
Yeah, jumping from planet to planet. And
Well, that was pretty cool. I forgot.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, the technical part,
Right.
of what they were doing for that. I mean, but literal, but I mean, that was a literal jumping from planet to planet. But it seemed like we were, it was the back and forth between the good and the bad side. The rebellion, what have you,
Right.
resistance, what have you.
And this isn't something that I really hated because they couldn't control it, but it's something that was just kind of like, this is weird. Leia. Just all the Leia stuff where, like, there are no scenes of her walking. And I don't know why this stuck out to me so much while I was watching it, but, like, oh, there she is. She just pops up in front of a character, almost, And obviously it's because, Carrie Fisher died, but, and I love the fact that they were able to use her still, that she was an important part, but you could also tell that she's not there, and she's not reacting to what's actually being said. And my last thing, the Raylo kiss, like really I was so mad about that.
Well, but see, in my theater, someone yelled out, "Yes!"
They're the worst. Hey, person in Eric's theater, you're wrong. Kylo Ren, Space Hitler, first off. Space Hitler V2. Darth Vader shouldn't have been redeemed. Kylo Ren shouldn't be redeemed. Because, I'm sorry, the dude killed literally billions of people. Destroyed 5 planets. For the Forced Order, as General Hux would say. And then Rey's like, no, I see good in him. So I was talking with Joe, my wife, because again, I got spoiled before, so I knew that was going to happen. But I'm like, I really hope it doesn't. I hope that it doesn't. And I was sitting there, and I was more jittery than normal, which is, I'm normally a jittery person. And she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm really nervous about this movie. I don't get nervous about movies. Like, I just don't, because obviously, why? But like this, and the reason why that kiss bothers me so much is because I like the fact that she kissed him, he didn't kiss her, but they create this character with Rey who becomes this literal beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. And it's the first time that kids kind of that were, like 7 or 8 at the time are actually seeing a female like superhero, and same with Finn being, like these two are, you've got a woman and a black man being the main characters of the biggest movie of all time. And then it's such an important cultural thing. And then all of a sudden she's like, but the bad boy's really dreamy. I'm going to give him a kiss. I'm like, stop it. Stop it. That is not okay. You don't do that. I mean,
see, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to disagree here.
That's fine.
Bring up a big point here, I think. You say, the bad boy, he's really dreamy. I think it's something so much deeper than that for her action there of kissing him. And I feel like you almost maybe did you indicate you thought he kissed her first?
No. I'm saying I'm glad that she kissed him.
I was afraid you were saying that for a moment.
Yeah, no.
But,
because it would mean something different if he kissed her, but she does have the agency.
It's very Matrixy, there for me. If you know what I'm talking about.
No, I've never seen The Matrix.
Oh,
I know. I'm a bad nerd.
But nonetheless, but it's just something deeper. It's the fact that he reciprocated her what she did previously to him, the healing. And it's just, I think you have to think about things like in other cultures, because there's other things too that make me think about this at times with especially with this sequel trilogy, that with other cultures, it's not it's not this huge, oh, sexual, extreme lovey-dovey, kind of stuff that's going on. It's just, I don't know, more a signifier of, I don't want to say thanks exactly, but some kind of gratitude. Or
yeah. Well, and I get that. Yeah. And for me, just to kind of put a cap on it, from my perspective, then he dies, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, because I mean he abuses her the entire time, and that's that whole abuser mentality anyway. But I get that, and I think that in that moment, I think what annoys me the most about it is that it does make sense, and I hate that it makes sense because I did not want them to be a thing,
Yeah.
And that's, of course, but for me, it didn't ruin the movie by any shape or form, and just one real quick thing, and then we could get back to the Reylo kiss, but, or we can talk about the good things. Your parents are nobody, but your grandparents, on the other hand, I'm like, really? Okay. That's like, what I loved about it too. It's like, no, we're not changing anything from The Last Jedi. And it's like, you're technically not wrong, but I mean, you're just adding this kind of stupid layer on top of it. Which that was something that I thought was pretty dumb on paper, but seeing it in action was really cool. Her being Palpatine's granddaughter. But,
yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the great things about this movie. What was your favorite part? There is a correct answer.
Well, here, you better go. You better go because
because
me a few minutes.
the absolute correct answer is how jealous Poe was that Finn likes Rey, and that's why Poe is so mean to Rey, is because Poe is actually so in love with Finn. I mean, come on, like, read my fan fiction. Well, yeah, he's more. Well, that's
so
the
essentially
thing.
We have a love quadrangle.
Exactly. There's layers to this. I
just don't think it's like that.
No.
And that's what I'm getting to with my other thing that I was saying. This different cultural thing.
And that was a joke.
Yeah.
I just, because my whole thing was, like they obviously love each other. No, it's the ending is just incredible, and we'll save the end for the end. But that was my absolute favorite part. And I thought it was going to be really stupid on paper, but it ended up being really, really cool. But yeah, Zori is an interesting character. I want a movie about her, please. Like Poe before he joined the Resistance. That's what I want to see. That's what Star Wars Resistance should have been about. Anyway.
Something I think is high up there, at least. I'd like to say and mention that's high up there. It's when, and I wasn't thinking she was going to do what she was going to do. I thought she was going to where did I think she was going? But she ended up going to Octu.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going, and she even indicates to Ghost Luke when he shows up there that she just wants to. She needs to be there as a hermit, just like he was. That he had the right idea.
Mm-hmm. That was a cool reveal too. Like her throwing the lightsaber in, and then him catching it real quick.
Right. Which I really wasn't expecting that part either. I wasn't. We got a little bit of it, I guess, last time, and then we get even more. A moment in the last movie, Last Jedi, but then we get even a little more just in the very next part of this scene, where the Force ghosts of these Jedi, that they can actually affect the environment around them.
Right. Which
he can touch, and he can keep that saber from going into the fire of the
and apparently lift an X-wing too. You
yeah,
know?
right. And then that's the next part I was going to talk. Yeah,
Such a, you know, as fan servicey and as hokey as that was, like, everybody I think got goosebumps during that. So how much money do you think they paid Harrison Ford?
yeah, right. Oh, and I was totally that. I mean, I was like, is that Han's voice? That's not Han's voice. That's Luke. That's got to be Luke's voice. And then I even saw or heard today that someone thought it might have been Anakin's voice or something, but Hayden Christensen. But
ooh, that would and that would have been pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
I don't know which one I would have liked better, what we got or the Hayden Christensen version, but that scene, that was where I started crying, like, pretty hard. Oh god, that is such a moving scene, and like excuse me, how they did Bendemption, as I'm calling it. I think that was the best possible way to do it. Where he's actually confronting one of the biggest, sins that he committed. Mm-hmm. And then them repeating the, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength.
Right.
And then he throws the saber and he says, "Dad," and there's that pause, like he's going to say, "I love you," and then Han says, "I know." I just burst into tears. And I'm sitting next to the 7-year-old child in the theater, and he's like, "What are you crying about?" And I'm like, "Shut it, kid. Eat your popcorn. I have to go pee." Oh, my God. That was so good. As breakneck as the pace was of this movie, they really did great small moments like that, where, it's really slowed down, like Kylo and Han, well, Ben and Han, and then Rey and Luke, those were just perfect story moments. The chess scene at the beginning, I thought was kind of fun. I like that. I thought that was cute.
Oh, yeah, the hollow chess. Yeah.
Exactly, yep. And did you see how close Finn and Poe were sitting next to each other? Come on. I'm just saying. That's all. I'm not gonna, but, and another thing I really liked about it was that, and I think you were kind of talking about that, is that nobody ends up with anybody. Like, there's no romance at the end of it. And I loved that. Like, they told the story and you can imply the relationships, and even then, you don't even have to, like, they're unnecessary, because you're telling a story about just people, and how these giant actions have affected the galaxy so much, it's, so good.
Now, what do you think about Rey's parents?
I mean, my favorite line was from The Last Jedi is Kylo saying, "You're nothing but not to me," and talking about her parents. I wanted them to be nobody, like, because I think what's so important, and what we saw with Broom Boy at the end of The Last Jedi, was that anybody can be a hero. Like, you don't have to have magical, mystical parentage in order to become, somebody who is, force sensitive, or ends up being the person who literally saves the galaxy, in the case of Rey. But so the parents, fine.
That we see in a flashback.
Right. Which,
there's a little indication, I think, prior to that, okay, yeah, well, I mean, the huge indication of Palpatine being her grandfather.
Which,
but
I thought that was, like, okay, how though? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what I wanted was it to be. I wanted Rey to be a clone, if anything, like a Palpatine clone that they, changed in some way or created, in a way. I guess Palpatine did create Rey, but in a way, yeah, it's. I mean, if you had to make it a big reveal, I mean, make it the biggest you possibly could. Like, hey, you're granddaughter to the most evil person in the galaxy. Have fun. What do you think of that?
I'm not totally really still convinced that that's the case. I mean, I think she could technically be his granddaughter, but at the same time, I still think there could be. I think there was manipulation of her. Dare I say it? Midichlorians.
Oh, ooh. Oh, the even Master Yoda doesn't have a midichlorian count that high.
But but back to what I was kind of getting at was her parents, and we see them, and supposedly it's her father is Palpatine's son. Mm-hmm. Do we want to do the math? Can we? What?
Who boned Palpatine?
Yeah, right. And where was that in the prequels? Oh, or original trilogy? I mean, when was that? It's somewhere in between, I would think. Mm-hmm. Probably. After he was scarred,
right,
from Windu,
which makes me feel like it most likely. I mean, he's the most evil dude in the galaxy. We can assume it wasn't consensual. So,
yeah, he had some concubines.
So, okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
But he had all those people, in that undergroundy whatever throne room thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I wasn't sure, but I mean, as it went on, especially when they died, seemingly a lot of them died. All those people in those
right, yeah,
in the stands around.
So just real quick, because I'm trying to, I heard something that I'm not 100% sure is true. Did Vader kill a Palpatine clone in Return of the Jedi?
I don't.
You don't know, or you don't think so?
I mean, that might as well be as good of a possibility as, I mean, with him controlling Snoke, his Snoke puppets, either the one we see here is a clone, or that one was a clone.
Mm-hmm. Or he genuinely survived the destruction of the Death Star, which I guess.
Where was if that was a clone? Where was the real Palpatine? Was he, down on Endor, somewhere else on Endor, or one of the other planets? Supposedly, I mean, this one, the one they're on is called Kef Bir. Where the KEF space BIR,
where the Death Star crashed.
Wreckage is. Yeah, but is he somewhere nearby to the Death Star being constructed?
And
controlling that clone of him.
Well, was he on Exegol the whole time? Yeah. Was he preparing the Sith fleet?
If he can control. I mean, if Snoke's flying around in his ship in Last Jedi, his own personal huge ship, whatever it's called,
the Supremacy.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I'm a nerd. Well, and that is kind of my wonder, is that because Palpatine, he didn't care about the Empire, he cared about the Sith.
Yeah.
So did he have this clone of the Emperor as the Empire's Emperor? But he was still working on Exegol to build all those Death Stars, or not Death Stars, Star Destroyers, because you can't build all those in 30 years. Like, come on. So was that just part of the plan? Was him being, I don't know. See, and that's, or I'm just reading into it too much. Maybe it was just like, hey, Palpatine's alive because he just hates so much. Him and Darth Maul stay alive by pure hatred alone, and survive falling down.
Dooku can't do it.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, he got his head cut off. There's the big difference. It's kind of like a snake situation where you cut the head off, everything's fine, everything's dead. But you cut a worm in half, it comes back more powerful than ever. Strike me down, and I'll come back more powerful than you can ever imagine. So I think we kind of hit the big parts. Just real quick, him when he becomes I'm gonna say Ultra Palpatine.
Yeah, right.
Man,
he's using the dyad, is what they were saying in the Rebel Force radio show today. The dyad of then Ben and Rey.
Yeah, and he's saying, I am all of the Sith. And then, she hears all the voice of the Jedi, which Hayden Christensen, Qui-Guy was actually Liam Neeson. Like, they got everybody back for it. Ayla Secura, didn't expect that, but okay. And she's like, well, and I'm all the Jedi, and she pulls that other lightsaber up, and I'm like, yes! It was, oh man, that was a great moment in the theater as well. So was there anything that you truly didn't like about the movie?
One thing I've certainly had this situation with other movies too, like Blade Runner 2049, where this isn't a knock on the movie itself. This is a knock on the marketing. Seeing the trailers, and now I didn't put two and two together for Chewbacca, but someone on the Rebel Force radio, I believe, said they did. They knew he wasn't really dead. But I didn't.
I wasn't sure about that.
But the one where I knew, okay, well, Lando's coming back. I mean, and that's from his initial thing that we see him on that desert planet with that kite parade or whatever it is.
Right. That was a cool scene. I like that.
And he's in. Apparently, that was the bottom part of a Jawa sandcrawler that he was riding around in. I didn't realize that either.
So rad.
Yeah.
Like, he's such a cool dude.
And what he was doing there on the planet, since he was supposedly there with Luke, looking for this stuff,
just hanging out.
The stuff to find. Yeah, I mean that's something of his character that he'll do. I mean, if he happens to be somewhere and he sees a way to survive and make money and thrive, then he'll do it. He doesn't need to go anywhere to do it when he can do it right here just as easily. So I mean, I could easily could be like what happened to him with Cloud City. He just ended up on it, and then won game of Sabak, and
here then. Lando is such a great character.
Yeah,
and Donald Glover.
But the thing is,
Solo,
I knew I had to see him. I was going to see him in the Millennium Falcon, so I also knew that we were going to get the Millennium Falcon back from the First Order, too.
Right.
Both of those things I knew were going to happen. Whereas, I mean, if I hadn't seen that in the trailers, then, gee, was that the last time we saw the Falcon?
They're when
going to crush it up or something and use it for parts?
Oh yeah. I mean, would there be anything really worth salvaging at this point?
The newer radar dish.
That is true. I was really hoping that would get knocked off one more time.
Yeah.
But I think the best way to end this, though, is I just one simple question to you. How loud did your theater cheer when Chewbacca got his medal?
I don't know that there was too much for that.
I started the cheer, and we went nuts for it. So, I like that.
See, for me, I know he's already got it when he at the MTV movie video awards, whatever it is.
The real canon here. Okay, so let me revise my ranking. the MTV Music Video Awards when he gets the medal, then Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But it's like that is the most fan servicey thing ever. But like I can sit here and I can put on my cynical hat and be like, oh God, look at this. But no, I'm going to look at it. I'm just going to be so joyful about it because it is a wrong that has been corrected finally, and they did it in such a fun way. Maz Kanata, who's like, oh, I like that Wookiee.
Well, she's the one that saves, that keeps a hold of things.
Mm-hmm.
She kept a hold of Luke's lightsaber, and now but then she's also kept a hold of that.
Yeah, it's
for the right time.
That was such a fun moment, and I cannot stress how much I liked this movie. It is just good. It's good Star Wars. It's everything you want in a Star Wars movie. The lightsaber battle on the Endor moon. Oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
There's just so there. I mean, like we can probably honestly go on for another like hour and a half, but because there's just so much to talk about in this. But I think for people who didn't like The Last Jedi, I think this is a good course correction. For people who did like The Last Jedi, like myself, I kind of felt a little bit annoyed at how much they kind of didn't really rewrite the events of The Last Jedi, but, kind of like, oh, your parents are nobody, but Palpatine's your granddad. Like, come on. I felt like that was kind of undoing it in, like, this is your loophole that you found. And I'm like, JJ, you're better than this. But I'm just excited for Rian Johnson's trilogy. That's what I'm trying to say.
And Kevin Feige, Feige, however you say it.
Oh yeah,
the Marvel Man.
And
supposedly a singular film, but nonetheless, hey,
get him, Jon Favreau,
Filoni,
Dave Filoni, like just get them to make all sorts of things. I haven't watched. I've watched one episode of The Mandalorian, right, but I'm waiting for everything to come out before I watch the rest. And oh boy,
which by the time this comes out,
yes, I will have watched The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
for what I've heard, it's
another
amazing.
Episode on that,
Right. And just the Star Wars TV shows are so good. Rebels Season 1 and Resistance Season 1 are kind of shaky, but
okay. Yeah.
Like Resistance, the second half of Season 1 is so great. And then we've got the Cassian Andor show coming up, which I love them in Rogue One, Cassian Andor, and K2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, K2SO quickly moved up to being my second favorite character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And your favorite is Dio, right? The new droid. Because he's pretty awesome.
Yoda. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially K2SO overtook Boba Fett.
Well, but let's be honest.
So, yeah.
What did Boba Fett really do? I mean,
fell into the Sonic pit.
I know that's kind of an overused joke, but like, what did Boba Fett do? He got eaten for 1,000 years.
He brought Han to Vader.
He's no good to me, dead.
Which led Luke to Vader.
So he's just the delivery guy.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's instead of your deep fried
delivery.
Han.
Delivery.
Oh God, no! Don't answer the door, Eric. It's Boba. Delivery. You gotta change your accent if you're gonna do that. But I guess the reason why I'm saying all this is that Star Wars fans, we've got so much coming, mm-hmm. And the books are freaking phenomenal. Like the new canon stuff is really good. So if you're into that, the comic books are awesome too. Charles Soule is like freaking killing it in the Vader series, which has ended. But he's also doing the Rise of Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I really
It's a
want to get
miniseries.
that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
the
wait
first
for the
issue
trade.
just came
but-
out, but I'll probably wait for the trade.
Oh man, Charles
I just need
Soule,
to start waiting for trades more.
he's so good.
Yeah,
Well, what's great is that I don't have a comic book shop nearby, so I have to wait for the trades.
but you
So
got
I've
a
saved
library.
it. Right, exactly,
can
and then I just
order
buy
it.
it for the library. That's, I mean, that's kind of my like dirty secret is that I buy a bunch of Star Wars books for the library so that I don't have to buy them myself. My shelf's getting really full, but any other parting thoughts or
Well,
anything?
let's end with how the movie ended.
Yes, please, Eric, explain.
So, and I was like confused. Like, okay, she's wrapping up the two lightsabers. She's got the two lightsabers now, Luke's and Leia's.
And where are they?
She's on Tatooine.
She's not on.
She's like at the Lars homestead right there where Luke
And she-
lived his first 18 years.
She
roughly, of
rides
his
the
life.
little sled down. Pete the Jawa's there.
Yeah.
It. Oh my god.
But she's wrapping them up, and they're laying on the ground, and then I guess she uses the Force to submerge them in the desert rock, sand, what have you.
Right. Again, weird, but okay.
Yeah. For them to never be found. Will she know to come back here if she needs them? And then we find out she built her own.
Yes.
And supposedly it's on when she gets a book out, one of the Jedi books out. There's a little table there supposedly, so I'm going to be looking for that tomorrow.
Oh, on like how to build it.
Where she's building it. It's in
Oh, I
progress
thought
being
it was
built.
part of her staff.
Well, yeah, there's that too. I thought I'd heard that too, but we see her with her staff though at points. So I don't know, but yeah, that's why I'm going to look for it. And then Wikipedia here says a local asks her name. Is that not supposed to be the same old woman that she's 50 years.
No, are we the one who's my bones, Annie?
Yes.
You better get home. I hope it's the same lady.
Maybe it's her daughter.
Right. I hope her bones are okay.
But she asks what her name is. And
Ray.
a beat, then Ray, then 3 beats. And Skywalker.
Right. Ray Skywalker. And then they walk off, her and BB-8, into the sunset, which just
the twin
staring into the sun's set.
Yes.
Come on. And they're staring into the French horn, and I read that and I'm like, that is the dumbest ending I've ever heard. And then I saw it and I'm like, there's no better way. You could not close out that movie better. And that we didn't even mention the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which
Well, that and that's what happens in between when she just says Ray, and then she's looking over to her side. I think
Ray who?
and she sees, yeah,
And then Ray Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker, and she was kneeling, so she stands. It is the literal Rise of Skywalker.
yeah. And yeah,
We saw the title of the movie.
And you said Luke and Leia. It's just Luke and Leia. It's not any of the other Force ghosts. They don't mean anything to her.
Right.
They don't. She doesn't actually know what any of them look like. There's no personal relationship reason that they'd be there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What a great ending. Just so good. Like I said, I thought it was going to be really dumb, but I thought it was going to be too hokey. And then, Italian finger kiss. Mwah. So good. So that's, and I've had Ray's theme stuck in my head for the past 2 days. It's all I've been hearing this whole day. So yeah, there's the Rise of Skywalker. Our thoughts. Please let us know what you think. We kind of like doing this stuff. We're toying with the idea of a Patreon, and this would be kind of the stuff that we would have on our Patreon. If we were to do one. But it's Star Wars. We got to talk about Star Wars sometime. But let us know what you think. Tweet tweet at us at Feels Like Weezer. You can... Oh, wait, real quick. Since this is a music podcast, John Williams just knocked it out of the park. Great job. We had to put it in somewhere. And then you can check us out on Facebook, Feels Like Weezer. Go join the Feels Like Weezer Listener Society. Send us an email with your very detailed thoughts and reviews of The Rise of Skywalker. Tell me why my ranking is terrible, because everybody hates my ranking. feelslikeweezer@gmail.com. This podcast and Almost Famous Minute are both part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Pantheon Podcasts is your one-stop shop for all things rock and roll podcasts. Check us out, pantheonpodcasts.com. And Eric, may the Force be with you.
Yeah. May the Force be with you.
And also with you. That's how you know you're a Lutheran.